It's time once again for another episode of the TheGingerBinger podcast. What is going on, everybody? Another week, another episode with just me, Dylan, and I'm here to talk to y'all today about my previous jobs. Now, I'm pretty sure anyone listening to this right now has had a job that they absolutely hated. And I found in my times being at jobs I hate that there are many different ways to go about it. You know, you can hate it and be miserable and not have any fun whatsoever, or you can try to find the good parts in it. Funny, I used to work as an amusement park ride attendant, and when I tell people that, I usually just refer to myself as a carny because it sounds a lot more interesting. But what my job was is I had to run the rides, make sure everybody was safe, and make sure that everybody who went on the rides had a ticket. Many interesting stories come out of that. One I remember very well is when I used to work on the Ferris wheel that they had. It was an old rickety Ferris wheel, something like straight out of the 1940s or something. Like, it looked that old. And I think it was like made in the 60s or 50s or something along those lines. Because when they got it, we were told that the weight had to be evenly dispersed, which it normally does, but you could only put 3 cars on or else it would become a hazard. It would become dangerous. And out of a 12-car Ferris wheel, when you only have 3 going and you have a huge line building up, everybody's always asking, why isn't the carts being built up? And one day I had to look at someone and bluntly say, because it's not safe to put any more weight on. And when I told that, the whole line just disappeared. I hated that job so much. It was quite possibly the worst place I had ever worked. It was just dealing with angry, crappy people and their bratty kids, and everybody was just in a foul mood. You think when you go to an amusement park, like when Disney says it's the happiest place on earth, if it's anything like the amusement park I worked at, is the furthest thing from it. Everybody there is miserable. It's like going to the DMV. Nobody is happy to be there, really. Maybe the couple of kids, but even then, oh my God, was there some issues. One fun thing was I used to work at another ride, and it was similar to a Ferris wheel, but you could spin around on it, like the cages would spin. And one of my favorite moments of it was, I shouldn't say one of my favorite, one of my scariest, was I had it balanced out properly, so you had to, if you unloaded one car, you had to unload the other car on the top of the Ferris wheel to balance it out. And what ended up happening was, as I opened the door to let the person go, I didn't balance it right, and it started taking off with the door open, and this little kid in there is screaming his head off, and I don't blame him. And all the parents are yelling at me. Everybody's like, you don't know what you're doing. People are calling the supervisors. I think someone tried to call the fire department, and thankfully they shut the door and I got him down just fine. But later on that day, my supervisor came yelling at me, telling me I didn't know what I was doing. I've been running that ride so often, you get into habits and you don't think properly. But the problem with that whole thing is we get training on that ride maybe once, like for an hour with someone, and then they just leave you there for the rest of the day. So I remember having to train people and tell them how to run the ride, and then they're like, okay, now you go run this ride and leave them there. I would have to tell people, it's like, no, they're not ready for this ride. This is not going to be safe, and they'd still send you off. It was such a shady place to work for. It was one of those places that used the excuse of a untrained minimum wage, which is less than regular minimum wage. So they would always, because it was a bunch of teenagers working there for the most part, they would just gyp you, an extra $1.40 because you were untrained. And because it was only a summer job, in order to get trained to minimum wage, you have to be there for at least 3 months. So you would have to be there for a summer, making less than minimum wage. And then the next summer, in August, you would finally start making minimum wage there. And it was such a bunch of BS. funny story about that Ferris wheel with the spinning cages. I was once sitting there, and in order for it to work, you have to have your foot on the gas and your hand off of the brake. And what ended up happening was there is, I'm going to try and explain this the best I can. I'm on one side of the Ferris wheel, and on the other end is the line. So I'm not near them. I'm probably about 10, 15 feet away. And my supervisor comes up, who is a total tool. She comes up and she says, I don't like the way you're sitting here and ignoring the customers. I think you should be over there chatting them up and, making sure they're excited and smiling and all that jazz. And me being the smartass I am, I said, okay. And I got up and I walked over there and started talking to them. And about, 15 seconds goes by, and all of a sudden the Ferris wheel stops. And the supervisor comes over to me and says, why does it stop? And I tell her, you have to have your foot on the gas for it to work, so I'm just doing what you told me. And the look on her face, she was so mad. But the look on her face was so delicious. It was just, nom, 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 nom. And there would be multiple times on that job where it would be like an 8-hour day, but you wouldn't get a break because someone forgot to come give you a break, or they didn't have enough breakers. And it would just be like I remember working in the haunted house one year. It was like every other day I was in that house, and it was like I would never get breaks. It would drive me nuts. I'd be in there by myself, and to a point where I said, okay, the hell with this. And I'd close the ride down, and I'd go eat, or I'd go, use the washroom or something. And it was one of those joints where that was looked down upon for you leaving the customers hanging, but you got to stick up for yourself. You got to work, for you. In my opinion, here's my opinion on your job. And this is going to be my opinion if I ever end up hiring someone. I pay you for your time, or let me rephrase that, okay? I'm the employee in this scenario. You pay me for my time, and that's the deal. If you're not paying me, you don't get my time. If I'm not, that's the deal. So if you are asking me to do anything extra and you're not going to pay me, no, I'm not coming in early to do this for free. I'm sorry. And some people might look at that as like a bad attitude to have at work, but my attitude is the only skill or the only thing I have to sell you right now is time. So if I start giving that away for free, what do I have to sell? That's just my opinion. And that's how I feel about this, because I've had companies and people and small businesses try to take advantage of me on multiple different things. But that doesn't mean like the whole entire time was bad, because I had a couple of buddies who used to work at that park with us, and some of the moments with them were just, they were real fun. I remember one day, this was me being a little shithead, I didn't get a break that day, so I just closed the Ferris wheel down and said it's not working. And what I did, my buddy who was on the other end of the park, who was working on their laser tag, I would tell everybody, hey, my ride's not working right now, but laser tag is just having, there's nobody over there, you can go over there and have a blast. And I would send all these kids to them in the last closing minutes of the day. And I would call the phone. We had phones at our station, so we could call, if the case there was an emergency, I would call his ride, and he picks up, he's like, hello, and all I said was, the Lannisters send their regards, and I hung up. And the way he described it was, as I was hanging up the phone, he just saw a swarm of, kids come over the horizon yelling for laser tag, and he's just like, no, no, no! Oh, moments like that, though, I hated that job for everything, but it made me laugh my ass off at points. But I wouldn't go back. Never in a million years. And that is really why I love to do just things like this. I'm trying to get into the entertainment business, or trying to find more work in the entertainment business. Because I don't want to be doing these crappy jobs for the rest of my life. And in my opinion, it's interesting when I hear people my age, because I'm only 24, when I hear people talking about retirement and saving up for retirement, and which, is perfectly fine to do. In my opinion, though, unless you actually save up for retirement, there is not going to be any retiring in our lifetime. I think that'll be a thing of the past by the time I hit retirement age, which will probably be raised up to 84 by the time I get there. And that you hear about all these. This is one reason I guess I want to be in business for myself, is because you hear these horror stories of people who've been working for a company for like 35 years, and then all of a sudden they get laid off, or they're given the boot and a gold watch, and a computer took your job. Going through those hard times, it frightens me, because if you give your heart and soul to someone else's vision, someone else's dream, and then they just do away with you like you're nothing, that to me I would feel like I wasted my life, and I don't want to feel that. I want to feel that I went for what I wanted to do. And if it works, I'll be so happy. And if it fails, I'll still be glad that I tried, because one thing that I fear more than anything else in this world is not going for it, is not taking the shot, is not trying. Not trying to me is a bigger sin than anything you can possibly do. If you're listening to this right now and you want to do something, let's just say it's skydiving, it's riding a motorcycle, it's writing a novel, start preparation, start going after it. You got to do it. If you don't, I feel you'll regret it forever, because one day you'll look up and realize you're 65 and you're stuck at this job that you hate, or you just feel like you can't do anything anymore. And that's why I'm trying to get better at doing things I love. I want to learn how to ride a motorcycle. I've wanted to do that since I've got out of high school. I want to go skydiving. Those are things I would love to do. I'm in the middle of writing a short film with feature films, building in the background. I'm trying to build my own website to hopefully maybe one day build my own business, or just build an audience for people so I can entertain people and like bring someone some kind of joy or just some relief in this world. So not everything is just this dull and negative and shitty. I hope I can just, someone can come home and listen to this podcast or watch some of the products that I put out and just enjoy something and just be relieved that they can come home and this will always be there for them. And that I can come home and do this for people and they'll always be there to hear me. That to me is something that you can't take away. You can't, once you've done it, it's there. You've done it. It's when you skydive and you jump out of that plane, no one can take that away from you. People can take away money. People can take away land. People can take away everything. But they can't take away experiences. They can't take away what you have done. All they can do is tell you, oh, you can't do this in the future. You can't do that. And try to stop you from doing more. And I've been thinking about that lately. That's been rattling around in my brain, and I decided that either, because my 25th birthday is coming up, I either want to go to Las Vegas or New York City with a group of friends. And I'm in the process of getting people to come, and if nobody comes, I'll go by myself. I want to get a little experience down there, and it's relatively inexpensive. Compared to other places. Like one day I'd love to go to Ireland and go to an Irish pub and go see some distilleries and just go see the green hills of Ireland. My great-grandmother came off the boat from Ireland. She came off, I believe she was by herself, and she married my grandfather. And the guts that takes to do for a 14-year-old girl to come across to a country she doesn't even know and start a new life, that is amazing. That shows so much about human spirit and human drive and human willingness to try. I guess I don't really know how to articulate it, but just it shows so much about people, about the good in people and the willingness to try and fail. Going back to my Vegas or New York trip, I'm trying to weigh the options. If I get a group of friends, like a group of buddies, Vegas has to be it, because a group of friends in their 20s going to Vegas is something I've always wanted to do. If it ends up just being, I only can't get too many people, or if it's just me, New York City I think would be a blast. I'd love to go to the 5 boroughs. I would love to, get a big slice of New York pizza, or go to Little Italy and have a great, restaurant dining experience. Or I would love to go see an event at Madison Square Garden. Something like a wrestling event or a boxing match. Something to see. at that event, at that venue, because it's been called the world's most famous arena, and I've always seen pictures of it, and it's somewhere that I think I would be cool, an experience for me, especially being a big time wrestling fan, to go see. Where else would I love to go in there? See the Empire State Building, Central Park, go to some nightclubs in New York City. I mean, just to have that experience, because that's one thing, being out of school and finally having enough money, where you're no longer in debt, to go out and do things. Because I would say, like, when people say I'm introverted or extroverted, I kind of break mine into a percentage. I feel like I'm 60% extrovert with a 40% introvert feeling to it, because I like to go out and have fun, but I love my alone time, and I love to stay home and watch Netflix or just eat a pizza, but I love to go out and do and party too. So it's all about finding that balance for me, and I think going out with friends, like going to a new city or somewhere like that, and just having a blast would be great for like a great story for me later on in life. And if we went to Vegas, my goal was just to tear up everything we possibly could. I would be like, let's pull the Hangover, guys. We're pulling the Hangover. Yeah, those are the things really going on, I guess, right now in my head. Little update on the short film. I'm in the middle of storyboarding right now, and that is a process that is not made for me. It's so hard getting what's on my head onto the paper when it comes to drawing, because I am a terrible artist, and trying to, show depth of field and placement and camera movements, and just trying to explain that without the drawing looking horrible. I'll use an example. So the introduction of my character is she's a sheriff, so I want to show her badge first to let everybody know who she is. When I'm drawing it, I can't draw a star for the life of me. It's awful. Or not a star, a badge, a star. Like a little Woody Sheriff doll. But no, those things, that the short film is coming along, and it is an experience. Like, I really am enjoying it. It's going to be stressful, but I think if we can get it done and get it into a film festival, that will be worth all of it. Just to see a film I made played on like a movie theater screen, I would love it so much. Oh, just going back to, Madison Square Garden and wrestling, I am so excited for next week. I believe it's the Royal Rumble, and the Royal Rumble is my favorite pay-per-view of the year. I love the Royal Rumble match. Who doesn't? I mean, 30 guys, got to be thrown over the top rope, both feet hit the floor. This year doing the first Women's Royal Rumble, so I think that's going to be a blast to watch. And it's always fun, because then it kicks off to WrestleMania, and that's when I get to hang out with a few of my old buddies again, because that's what we do. We watch Rumble, Survivor Series, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam. I always forget SummerSlam. Out of the big four pay-per-views, SummerSlam is my least favorite. I like Survivor Series for the elimination match. The Rumble has the Rumble. And WrestleMania is WrestleMania. I mean, you can't go wrong with WrestleMania. Unfortunately, I haven't been gaming much lately. I haven't had the time. It's just been so busy doing everything else. Things are coming together. Things are going well here. I've been trying to get back into writing stand-up comedy, which is so much fun. It's just trying to get the time to sit down and write. And I shouldn't be making excuses. If I want to do it, I'll make the time. There's 24 hours in a day, and all the greatest people have had that same amount of time. So there's no excuse why I can't do it. I'm excited though. So I've been using this new app called, I think it's called Lose It, and it tracks your calories through the day. And I want to get to about 170 by June, which is not that far away. And the amount of calories I get to intake to lose weight according to that, along with my exercise, it's just under 2,000, which is nice. I still get to eat a lot. But it's surprising once you start counting your calories how much are in certain things. Like a candy bar, for example, is almost 300 calories. And if you're, let's just say, I couldn't imagine being somebody smaller. Like, I couldn't imagine a woman who has a range from anywhere from maybe 1200 to 1800. It's not much at all. Like if like my girlfriend, for example, she's not tall or big or anything. She'd probably her caloric intake would be probably about 1300, which is like, oh my god, there's like still so much food I would want to eat. I got to give it up to skinny girls. It's skinny girls. It is an art form to be skinny. It is absolutely outrageous how much dedication and effort and absolute like resilience it is, because there's just all the food that you want to eat is good. Pizza, fudge, cake, beer, everything you want to eat. Everything that is delicious in this world is terrible for you, I find. If your food is delicious, it is obviously bad for you. I remember watching this fitness video where the guy said, if your food tastes good, spit it out. Eating should not be fun. It has just to be done. And I said, who in the blue hell wants to eat like that, huh? Well, apparently people do. And my God, you got to give them props for it. If you see anybody who's in shape, that person is dedicated. Try to marry them. Oh my God. So Riverdale came back the other day too. Oh my Lord. Riverdale is such an interesting show. It is so like... It is a soap opera, but it is like it's so bad it's good. Like the character choices and like what is going on. Like in the past episode, spoiler for if you haven't seen Riverdale's newest episode, Archie gets brought in by a guy claiming to be from the FBI, claiming that I need you to help me get in, on your girlfriend's parents and their dirty dealings and blah 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 blah. And it just is so like, we need you, Archie, for no reason. They just need Archie, They couldn't, plant a wire or do a little investigation. No, we need to get the daughter's boyfriend to rat on his girlfriend's parents. It doesn't make any sense, but it is so ridiculous that it makes you chuckle. Jughead refusing to take off his gang colors. It's very funny. I love how... Because I was a big fan of the Sons of Anarchy. And I love how... that show portrayed biker gangs versus how Riverdale does. Riverdale's is so comedic. Jughead is 16 years old, and he's like second in command under his dad of this biker gang. But Jughead's all he's done is like maybe thrown a punch. That's about it. It definitely is a show that it doesn't take itself seriously from the writers. The characters take themselves seriously, but not enough to like ruin it. It is just enough hokiness. I've been told to check out that show, Ozark, but I'll be getting around to that along with a few other shows that I've been meaning to watch. I checked my Netflix list the other day, and it's like 50 plus movies or shows, and it's like I've been meaning to watch all of these, but I just don't have the time. I wish I had a device that could just stop time for everybody else or slow it down just enough so I can get everything done without aging. Because that always happens in the movies. They always get super old. So I can get so much stuff done in a day. It's like I would love to just it's a Saturday afternoon. Boom. 50 movies. Done. And it's only noon. That would be amazing. Podcasting really does dry out your throat. And I wish I had an ad read or something right now for like lozenges or something like that. Because that would be a pretty good segue. Oh, goodness me. No, I've been working out a lot lately, though. It's been good. I enjoy lifting weights. I enjoy going for runs. I shouldn't say I enjoy it. It's not that. It can be fun. It can be challenging. I just have to always mix it up a little, One day I got to go running. The next day I got to do boxing or circuits or something just to keep my mind, energized and aware. That's why I like when I go for runs. It's winter here, so I can't be going out and running, in the streets or in the sidewalk. It's too icy, it's cold. So I run down to my parking garage. But in the summer, I love it because you can go on trails, paths, around the city. It's great in the summer for running. Plus you get hills going up and down. I mean, here you can do the stairs, but you don't want to do that in the morning and wake people up and have them complain about you. You're trying to, be respectful for people, but still trying to live your life and be in shape. I feel like that should be a shirt. Be respectful, but live your life and get in shape. And I think, today I'm going to treat myself. I have been under calories by like 700 right now, and I'm not hungry. I don't think I will be, so I'm going to treat myself to a beer later when I'm doing my storyboards. And I think I'm gonna watch a movie. I don't know if I'm feeling either Seven or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, a thriller or a western. I'm kind of in that mood today. Two very great movies too. Oh, I remember just the first time I saw The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and that last scene was so intense with the cutting and the editing of it, just who's gonna fire first, and then when Blondie finally pulls out his gun and takes out Angel Eyes, it's such a release. It feels so satisfying to see, because for that whole time I'm almost crapping my pants. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap this up though, okay? Sorry for the shorter podcast today. I've just been very busy. My throat is starting to hurt, and again, it's just a guest. This is a guest list podcast again. I promise you next week there will be a guest. Tune in next week, next Sunday. Oh, wait, not next Sunday, sorry. Next Monday. The podcasts are now being brought to Mondays because Superhero Sunday is now coming out on Sundays. Alright guys, keep on binging. Have a good night. Over and out. Over and out.